Warning: Tsukihime is an adult visual novel with themes and depictions of sex, sexual violence, rape, gore, and abuse. Warnings will be placed before any of these pop up in the video, just be advised that these themes are in the story. Hello, and welcome back to Tsukihime. Last time, we finished Hisui's route, achieving both of her endings. This resulted in the unlocking of Kohaku's route, considered in-game as the final route. Though there are two other routes to do as well, that being Arcuid and Akiha's, I decided to go down Kohaku's route right away. The emotions in me were too strong at the time, and I desperately wanted to see what would happen down Kohaku's path. So, let's formally start. We speed by the first choice in the game, and head straight to class. We are reintroduced to Arihiko and Yumizuka, and then when lunch arrives, I chose to go into the hallway to think about what to do. It doesn't really do anything for Shiki, who then just wanders to the cafeteria, and we meet Ciel. After lunch, school comes to an end, and we then have a choice to stay longer or leave. I decided to stay at school a little longer, which resulted in Shiki talking with Ciel in the tea ceremony room. Unlike in her route, their initial conversation is about a grammatical error in Ciel's speech. After Shiki explains the issue, Ciel apologizes for messing up, but he tells her not to worry.
No, not at all. They say manners come from the heart, after all. As long as you have the right feelings, it's just a trivial error. Senpai's eyes snap in my direction as she stares at me. Her gaze is so serious, I feel like I just became some kind of rare animal in the zoo. Senpai? Did I just say something rude? Senpai continues to stare at me. Senpai? For some reason, I feel incredibly embarrassed. It really does suit you well, Tono-kun. Being younger yet calmer than me. You're impertinent. Senpai glares at me. I don't understand how her mind works at all. I'm sorry, it was kind of arrogant for me to speak like that. Yes, it was so impertinent, I was moved. She lowers her shoulders with a sigh and she sips her tea. I've become curious about you, Tono-kun. Please, talk to me. It can be about anything. Senpai straightens her posture with an attitude like a teacher looking at her student. It doesn't seem like I can refuse. Well, okay, but it's not going to be anything interesting if we're just going to talk about me, Senpai. Senpai responds with a smile. I've got no choice. It's not like me, but I suppose I'll talk to her about school. And then we talked about school. In the end, Senpai was happy to listen no matter what I talked to her about. It was surprising to see her get so worked up when we were talking about middle school. Apparently, Senpai had never been on a school trip. That sounds nice. Everyone going on a trip, she said, her eyes twinkling. It was quite an impressive sight. At any rate, I held a one-sided conversation for an hour, but it made me rather tired. With Senpai's permission, I decided to head home. The walk to the mansion is the same as before. However, when he starts thinking about his time at the mansion, the choice here now has a third option. Instead of his sister or the cheerful girl being the one memory he strongly remembers, we can now select about the girl by the window. And so, I do. Akiha isn't the only person I haven't seen since then. I can't remember all the details because it's been 8 years, but there were other children at the mansion around the same age as me. I don't remember their names, but there were 2 girls who were twins. The old man once said they didn't have any relatives, so he took them to work as servants. That's weird. We played together so often when we were small, but I can't remember their names. I closed my eyes and cast my mind back. I should be able to remember. She was a girl who was always cheerful, so cheerful that you would become cheerful just by looking at her. A girl with a carefree personality who was loved by everyone at the mansion. Because she was close to my age, I got along very well with her, and it seemed like every day we would run around the garden together. Let's play, Shiki-chan, she would say, and I could remember her taking me out of my room after I secluded myself inside. She would often laugh and take shy Akiha's hand, trying to make her play with us. Maybe she was older than both of us. She would guide me and Akiha to play together, but once we started playing, she would just watch over us. Even Akiha's tutor, the harsh butler, would say, I don't mind as long as blank is with you guys, and let Akiha out to play. But I'm much more concerned about the other girl. I don't know what kind of girl she was or why she was always like that. From the second floor, there was always a girl looking down at us every time I turned to look at the mansion while we were playing in the garden. She was the twin of that cheerful girl, but she would always gaze at us expressionlessly. That girl would never try to leave the house. All she would do was watch us with those cold eyes. Was it because it bothered me so much that I thought she seemed so lonely? Most of the memories I have about the Tono mansion are only about her. Well, in the end, I only ended up talking a little with her. I wonder if those girls are still at the mansion. While I think about it, I take a white ribbon out of my bag. An old white ribbon that the girls gave me at the very end. 8 years ago, after I was involved in the accident, the day I was entrusted to the Arima family, right before I was to leave the mansion, the girl gave me this for some reason. I'm just lending it to you, so be sure to return it. Saying something along those lines, she ran off. A promise made under a large tree. The weather was beautiful that day. Looking up, there was a high, high blue sky I could just lose myself in. It was my last memory of when I left the Tono mansion 8 years ago. I put the ribbon back in my bag. But it's been 8 years, after all. Not only do I not know if they're still at the mansion, I can't even remember their names. Even so, this ribbon is precious to me. The time when my father had disinherited me. Rather than being saddened over having been discarded by him, I felt a warmness inside when I thought she was waiting for me to return the ribbon. That's why I wanted to keep my promise, as long as I still remember it. I agreed to return to the mansion because Akiha is now there all by herself. I left her there for 8 years, pushing all responsibility onto her while I selflessly lived freely. But there is something else. I really think I decided to return because of that promise. The white ribbon. Because of that promise made to the only one who said she would be waiting for me.
Shiki arrives at the mansion's gate, and noticing that it is unlocked, he enters. Arriving at the mansion's front doors, he rings the doorbell and waits. When they open, a red-haired girl in a maid outfit is there. It's Kohaku, who is happy to see that he made it. Shiki's a little taken aback by her properness, which prompts Kohaku to ask if he's really Shiki.
You're Shiki-sama, aren't you? Yeah, but you don't have to call me Sama. You are, right? Oh, please don't scare me like that. I was beginning to think I had made another mistake back there.
She gives a good-natured laugh. I have no basis for this, but she fits the image perfectly. But we know she doesn't, actually. She's not actually.
Could it be you were the girl who played together with us when we were small?
I inquire tentatively. She gives a full smile, looking truly happy.
Come, you must be tired, right? Please, do come in. Akiha-sama is waiting for you in the sitting room.
The girl quickly crosses the lobby and heads towards the sitting room. Turning back as if she just remembered something, she makes a bow, a full smile on her face.
Welcome home, Shiki-sama.
Her greeting is accompanied by her flower-like smile. I can't think of any reply, so I just follow her hesitantly. Arriving in the sitting room, Shiki meets Akiha and Hisui for the first time. His sister briefs him on the family situation. Their father passed away recently, and she apologizes that he was not informed when it happened. As the new head of the Tono family, she decided to call him back to the mansion now that they are the only ones of the main families still alive. The various other members of the branch families objected, but she overruled them. She also kicked the one staying in the mansion out, so there are only 4 people on property. Herself, Shiki, Kohaku, and Hisui. Hisui is to be Shiki's maid and will be helping him with everything he needs. Shiki's objections are met with hard counters by Akiha that makes him unable to decline. With the conversation finished, Akiha leaves the room, and Hisui shows Shiki to his room. After a breakdown of the mansion, the pair make it to his room as the sun is setting. Shiki is uncomfortable with it, but he tries to accept his new living situation. Shiki inquires about the room, which Hisui confirms as being his when he was a child. He also asks about her and Kohaku's relationship, with Hisui answering that Kohaku is her older sister. Shiki internally is happy to have remembered them, but when he goes to ask about the 2 of them playing in the garden as kids, he stops midway. Given her demeanor, he believes that must have been Kohaku who was out playing with them. He then says that he used to play with Kohaku, with Hisui somewhat evading the topic by saying that they were brought to the family 2 years before he left for the Arimas. The scene is exactly the same as their chat in part 12 in Hisui's route, so if you want to read it in full, check that part. After dinner, which was a showcase of Shiki's lost table manners, he returns to his room. It's just past 8 p.m., and Shiki is thinking about how to pass the time. The 3 choices are to stay in Shiki's room, to go see Akiha in the sitting room, or to go watch TV in Kohaku's room. As Hisui mentioned Kohaku being the only one on property with a TV, and Shiki being the one who asked her, I thought we should let the boy try and watch the telly.
Let's see, Kohaku-san's room is here, isn't it?
I knock on her door. Kohaku-san, are you in there?
Yes, hold on. Please hold on a minute. I can hear a cheerful voice from inside the room. I wait for about 3 minutes. Kohaku-san opens the door and pokes her head out. Man was like, knock, knock. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. 180 Mississippi. Hi there. Oh, did I read that? Kohaku-san opens the door and pokes her head out. Oh, it's you, Shiki-sama. What are you doing here at this time? Well, I was wondering if you'd let me watch your TV. Eh? Kohaku-san gives me a bewildered look. Well, there's no TV in this house, is there? I've been living in a normal house up until now, so it's become a daily routine for me to watch TV after dinner. I guess I can't calm down without watching it or something like that, so the more I say it, the more I realize I'm doing something stupid. There is something not right about barging into a lady's room demanding to watch her TV. Look, even Kohaku-san's just standing there, looking bewildered. Wait a minute, no she's not. I guess you're right. You've been living in the Arima household up until yesterday, after all. You must think this mansion to be kind of depressing after moving here all of a sudden. Kohaku-san gives a cheerful laugh. Let's see. Have you talked to Akiha-sama and Hisui-chan about this yet? You mean about coming to your room, Kohaku-san? Kohaku-san nods. No, I haven't talked to anyone about it yet. What about it? No, it's nothing. It's just that I would have to turn you away if you had already talked to them about it. Smiling while she speaks, Kohaku-san looks up and down the hallway. Luckily for us, there isn't anyone else around. Please, hurry up and come in. It'll be troublesome if we're caught. Oh, okay. Please, just sit anywhere. Let's see, we've got a bed. It's a pretty nice bed. Little candelabra at the top. A nice window, or mirror. It's a nice window. Is that a fireplace? What's in that? I'll go make some tea. Coughing to clear my throat, I take a seat. There are all sorts of little things in Kohaku-san's room. It might be thought of as a bit messy for a girl's room. There aren't really many things you could call cute, and what she does have is a lot of things that don't look very useful. Rather, it has the atmosphere of a room belonging to an orderly, scholarly person. Buried in the miscellaneous objects, I find the TV. On top of the table is the remote. Maybe Kohaku-san has been watching the TV until just now. Thanks for waiting. Tea is fine for you, isn't it, Shiki-sama? Thank you. Please don't mind me too much. Oh no, not at all. I'm sorry I can't do much to treat you. Kohaku-san says so, smiling warmly. So, the TV. What do you watch around this time, Shiki-sama? I don't have any set programs in particular, but the news is a pretty basic one. I like to hear new trends, and I like the snob stories. Is that so? You seem like a very laid-back person, so I thought you'd be reading after dinner or something. No, I don't have such refined tastes. I mean, interest. Sorry, that was a little, projection. I don't consider myself laid back either, but maybe that's the impression I give with my glasses. This is fucking pretty as shit. Oh my god. Ah! You wear glasses, Shiki-sama. Akiha-sama didn't say anything about that at all, so I was quite surprised when I saw you at the door. I see. I haven't met Akiha since I started wearing these glasses. These glasses are just for show. I guess you could say my eyes are bad, but I think my vision is better than that of most people. It's not because I studied too much and went nearsighted or anything. Crap. I had an intellectual image, but did I disappoint you? Not at all. I enjoy watching TV more than reading, too. I'm glad that you're an energetic person, just like I thought you were. Yeah, thanks. I'm a little embarrassed. Faced directly with Kohaku-san's carefree smile, I can't help but feel a little nervous. I'm sorry. You came to watch the news, didn't you? Kohaku-san switches the TV on. It's already 9 o'clock. The news, as it usually does, reports the day's events with a little exaggeration. Oh dear, looks like there's been another one of those serial murders. Kohaku-san says to herself while sitting next to me, sounding not the least bit concerned. The news is running a special feature on the serial killings. The serial murders, which began in the neighboring town, are now beginning to be concentrated within this town. It's a pretty simple story. Late at night, he attacks young girls indiscriminately, and in the end, he drains their blood. It seems like last night's victim is the 9th so far. I wonder what the police are doing about it. Who knows? It would be... I don't know who's speaking about this. I want to say this is me, and I want to say this is Kohaku. I wonder what the police are doing about it.
Who knows? It would seem pretty easy to catch a murderer who comes out at night, but maybe he's really careful so they can't trace him.
You could be right. The clues about murderers build up as they kill more people, so if they haven't caught him even after 9 murders, he must be really carefully prepared for those killings. A careful killer, huh? But aren't these killings spontaneous crimes? It's strange to think of them as being carefully prepared. You're right. If there's no evidence left at all, maybe he's not a random killer after all. I can only think that he's got it all planned out from the start for execution. Ah, I see. But then what would be the point of killing those 9 girls? Are they friends of his? Acquaintances? Probably not. If there were connections like that, then I think the police would have realized it by now. In the end, I suppose it's an incomprehensible case without motive or connections. Kohaku-san says all of this disturbing stuff with a smile. It seems like she's really not that worried about this case. The murders are happening right here in this town, Kohaku-san. You're a young girl and all, so aren't you even a little scared? I'll be fine, since the killer only appears late at night. If I don't go out at night, I won't run into him. Kohaku-san really is a clear thinker. It is perhaps a bit more of a raw explanation, but I suppose that's how a mere news story should be treated. Sorry for intruding on you. I'll be counting on you again the next time I feel like watching TV. Sure, I'll be waiting. Kohaku-san looks up and down the hallway. I'd like to escort you back to your room, but Hisui-chan is waiting there, so I'll have to say goodbye here. Okay, good night. I had no idea bedtime at the mansion was at 10. Apparently, there's some kind of unwritten rule here that one is not to be out of their room after 10. It's still so formal here, even with the old man gone. Well, I guess it's only natural. I'm also getting tired from my unfamiliarity with this mansion, so I obediently return to my room. Back in his room, he notices that Hisui made his bed. The maid herself then knocks at the door, and Shiki lets her in. He thanks her for making his bed, before asking what she needs. She says Akiha sent her here to answer any of his questions. Shiki decides to ask about the mansion's rules, and Hisui gives him the rundown. The main gate is locked at 7 p.m., and there is a rule against walking around the mansion after 10 p.m. Given the recent killings, it's all the more reason to avoid going out at night. He also asks about the work both maids do, and she responds that they handle the work around the mansion while also serving the 2 Tono family members personally. Lastly, Shiki asks for Hisui to just call him Shiki, and not Shiki-sama. He also asks her to tell that to Kohaku as well. In the end, Hisui does not stop calling him Shiki-sama, and after this, she starts to leave. Shiki remembers that he had one more question and reaches for her shoulder to get her to stop, but is swatted away by Hisui. She apologizes for striking his hand and says that she is uncomfortable with being touched. After apologizing, Shiki asks about Akiha's school situation, with Hisui answering that Akiha travels by car to a boarding school, as she has special permission to attend from the mansion. He also learns of a rigorous schedule involving the practicing of multiple arts. This schedule now includes matters of business as well, given her new status as head of the Tono family. After their conversation, Shiki internally apologizes to his sister, wishing he had been with her to shoulder some of these responsibilities for the last 8 years. Now time for bed, Shiki attempts to sleep. However, a bunch of noisy dogs keep howling, and he can't ignore the noise. Unsure of what to do, we are given a choice to check it out, or go back to sleep. Deciding to abide by curfew, and just try and sleep anyways, Shiki pulls the sheets over his head and slowly fades, with the barking becoming white noise. Today's been a very long day. I'm mentally tired from eating dinner in this unfamiliar mansion and my conversations with Akiha and everyone else. After all that, the howling is just background noise. I close my eyes and gently fall asleep. Wait a minute, does that mean that the dog that's constantly barking that I think is my neighbor's is actually a vampire? Is actually a vampire with, like, dogs in him? It's a good thing I don't go outside at night anymore, because that's scary. I think I just heard something. Awake, I look at the clock. It's just past 2. It's been about 2 hours since I heard the dogs howling. The dogs howling has already stopped. The mansion is so quiet, I can hear the clock ticking in the silence. I hear it again. Inside the mansion, from the lobby? Could it be a burglar? It's not impossible. The mansion's contents are outrageously valuable. On top of that, with no one here now except Kohaku-san, Hisui, and Akiha and myself, it's very insecure. I get out of bed and slip out of the room quietly. I don't remember this. If it's a burglar, Akiha and everyone will be in danger, so I can't let this one go.
I'll just look down from the second floor into the lobby. That should be safe enough. There's nothing wrong there. No, someone's there. The figure that enters from the entrance and crosses the lobby. Oh shit! With wobbling, uncertain steps is... Huh? She's not going to her own room from the second floor, but to the first floor of the West Wing. The only things there are Kohaku-san's room and my old man's room. What's she doing at this time of night? I can murmur all I want, but there won't be any answers forthcoming. After gazing at the lobby for a while, I decided to return to my room. Well, she probably had something to do, or went to see Kohaku-san. I feel bad about sneaking around and watching her, and I don't want to just ask her about everything she does. Sleep, sleep. There's school tomorrow. I bury myself in bed and close my eyes. That's relatable. As I fall asleep, my thoughts keep returning over and over to Akiha's hollowed-eyed figure in the lobby, and how something seemed wrong. An unexpected end to the first night at the mansion, but for now, Shiki sleeps. We are not yet done today. Let us continue with Chapter 2, Inversion Impulse 2, to see if anything else is awry. Shiki is awakened by Hisui, which gives him a slight shock so early in the morning. She has his uniform prepared, but Shiki, before getting dressed, uses this time to ask about the ribbon he got when he was younger. She doesn't remember it, which catches him off guard, as he thought it was hers. He drops the conversation and tells her he'll be dressed and downstairs soon. He then heads for the sitting room, where we get an option as to who to greet, and I decided to just greet Kohaku. Morning, Kohaku-san. Today is a lovely day. Yes. Good morning, Shiki-san. Kohaku-san delivers her ordinary morning greeting with a smile on her face. Did you sleep well last night? I was worried you might be inconvenienced staying in an unfamiliar mansion and all. No, there were no problems. I used to live here, after all, and now I've got you to watch over me, Kohaku-san. Oh, you're quite good at this, Shiki-san. Huh? No, I'm just saying that I was thinking... Look. I'm just saying what I think. What is it I'm good at? Kohaku-san just looks at me, smiling. Somehow, I feel embarrassed when she looks directly at me, so I shift my gaze to the side. And then... I realize another stare. One which has been on me slightly for a while now. Hey there. I give a light wave to greet her. Akiha continues to stare at me, or perhaps glare would be a better word. Well, good morning, Akiha. Oh, you don't have to force yourself to greet me. Please, go right ahead and ignore me. After all, it seems you'd prefer to enjoy the morning with Kohaku. Not wrong. Akiha's words sting. It's not like I had intended to ignore her. I just said hello to Kohaku-san. Please don't tease Shiki-san too much, Akiha-sama. We don't have much time, and Shiki-san hasn't finished his breakfast yet. Well, that's Nissan's fault for waking up late, isn't it? He's just getting what he deserves for leaving everything to do in a rush in the morning. Akiha sniffs. It seems like my failure to greet her was another point she was unimpressed with, in addition to her objection to my late arrival. Kohaku-san, is my breakfast ready? Yes, I've laid it out in the dining hall. Please eat up at your leisure. That won't do, Kohaku. Nissan has no time to eat breakfast at this time. Hey, listen, Akiha. It's only 7, so I've got at least that much time. It's an easy 30-minute walk from here to school, so I can take it easy for at least 10 minutes, can't I? Are you saying you're going to finish breakfast in just 10 minutes? You're not some starving dog, so if you're going to eat breakfast, I'd like you to take your time. Akiha's words really do have thorns in them. Akiha-sama? It's almost time to leave, is that alright? I know, sheesh. You don't have to be so worried about stuff like this on the first day. Muttering some complaints, Akiha stands up. Well, I must say goodbye. Nissan, you should apply yourself to your studies today. Akiha leaves the sitting room. Kohaku-san follows, seeing her off. Apply myself to my studies? She's quite ceremonious about trivial things in an old-fashioned kind of way. I guess it's because she's been disciplined under our old man for the last 8 years. Well, I'd have gone to school even if she hadn't said anything. I scratched my cheek. There was something about Akiha's face as she left. Because of it, I paid no attention at all to her various admonishings this morning. Of course, I clapped my hands together. For some reason, Akiha's face just seemed to resemble her face from long ago. Shiki then prepares to leave for school, before being stopped by Kohaku at the door. She hands him the box from the Arimas, which contains the knife engraved with Nanatsu Yoru on it. Slipping it into his pocket, Shiki dashes for school. When he arrives, he chats with Arihiko about the chatting amongst their classmates. His seat neighbor, Yumizuka, is missing, and no one knows where she went. Eventually, the teacher comes in and starts taking attendance. We are then given a choice to ask about Yumizuka, but since I had done so in the last route, I decided to see what would happen if I selected the option to just sit silently. I was about to ask, but I didn't think the teacher would tell me. If she did run away from home like Arihiko said, it's her business. Besides, there isn't a teacher on the planet who'd answer a classmate who just casually asked, "Has Yumizuka-san run away from home?" Yeah, it's not like it's been confirmed or anything yet. Maybe Yumizuka is just late. It would be a better idea to see how things go for a little while longer before asking the teacher. We then jump to lunchtime, and Yumizuka is still not here. Shiki doesn't feel like eating, and rejects Arihiko's offer to eat with him in the lunchroom. Then Ciel arrives, who also says he should eat, lest he start to feel worse. Since last time I rejected her offer, I decided this time that she was right, and Shiki really should try to eat something before he passes out. She then takes Shiki to the tea ceremony room, where she explains that she is the only member of the club. They then talk for a bit. Perhaps it was the magic of the Japanese-style room, that chaotic maelstrom that had been raging in my chest calms down, and now I can finally begin to think calmly about what happened with Yumizuka. Thanks for waiting. Here you are. Now, let's have some lunch. Actually, I have some things to ask you, so it's just as well we're having lunch here. You have something to talk to me about? Puzzled, I drank the tea I'm offered. As I'm in the Japanese-style room, my posture reflexively straightened and my mind has become tranquil. Although I had no connection to it, the Arima family heads a tea ceremony school. Perhaps it was because I had been raised in that kind of environment that I feel more at ease in a Japanese-style room than a Western-style one. Senpai looks at me with a troubled expression. What's wrong, Senpai? You look a bit worried. Well, I was just worried about how calm you were about all of this, Tono-kun. Really? Well, my family is a strict one, so I'm used to these kinds of things. More importantly, Senpai, didn't you have something you wanted to talk to me about? I do. The continuation of what we were talking about earlier. What we were talking about earlier? You mean about my family? Senpai nods to indicate yes. If you don't mind, I would like to hear more about it. Shiki explains his current family situation, having now moved into the Tono mansion. He also tells her of his love of the Arimas, though how he still felt somewhat disconnected from them despite their continued kindness. With the story finished, Ciel thanks him for telling her before starting her lunch. After some time, she asks if something is troubling him. So, Tono-kun, is anything troubling you right now? Why that all of a sudden? I don't have any worries in particular. Then I suppose the reason you aren't eating much must be because of your health. Senpai stares at me. Somehow her gaze feels very penetrating. It feels difficult to remain silent under a gaze like that. I don't have any worries, but... Senpai, what do you think of the recent killings? I can't help but ask. The stories about my classmate who hasn't returned home won't leave my mind. Killings? Oh, you mean that business about the vampires? Yes. There's already been 8 victims, right? I haven't caught the news lately, so I'm not too sure about this subject. Do you know anything, Senpai? Well, I know about it. I know as much as anyone else does, but no, not the details. It's just the word vampire sends chills down my spine. Ah, you mean how it seems the victims had their bloods drained. Strange, isn't it? I wonder what it could mean. Who knows? It's impossible to know how much people think, but I wonder why they've nicknamed him the vampire. What an odd question. Well, isn't it because the blood was drained from the bodies? It'd only be natural to call them vampires, wouldn't it? Do you know the folklore about vampires, Tono-kun? Suddenly breaking into a smile, Senpai asks an even stranger question. Vampire folklore? You mean how people have their blood sucked by vampires become vampires themselves? Yes. If that was true, there wouldn't be any bodies left, right? Suppose some vampires was the killer. There'd be no bodies, Tono-kun. I see. That's true, but it's just a nickname, isn't it? Do you really believe in vampires, Senpai? Not at all. After all, the fact that the bodies are there show that it's not a vampire, right? Smiling, Senpai gives a reply that seems slightly off the point. But couldn't you also think of it this way? Maybe the victims whose bodies have been found dead died because they couldn't become vampires. Perhaps there are those who can be turned and those who can't. The people who can turn into vampires won't have their corpses found even if they were attacked by vampires. Because even now, they're still alive. Out there somewhere. But those who can't become vampires just die, so their bodies wind up being found. Well, that's... Senpai is still smiling. I know it's only a joke, but I'm having difficulty laughing it off. Oh, I'm just joking. It'd be like some kind of horror story if that were true. I don't like scary stories, so please don't ask me things like that. What? It looked like you were really getting into it, Senpai. Yes, I don't like scary stories, but I do like scaring you, Tono-kun. Did I do something to make her bear a grudge against me? But all jokes aside, Tono-kun, lately the streets have become dangerous at night. You mustn't go out, even though you are an energetic young man. Senpai gives me a warning that sounds like a joke. I can't tell how serious she is. It is now 5th period, and Shiki is still concerned about Yumizuka. He starts to get a bit dizzy thinking about her and her whereabouts. He realizes that he's about to suffer an anemic attack, and his vision is going dark. The vision of Yumizuka highlighted in the red light of sunset is what Shiki thinks may have caused it, but that doesn't help. His body falls, and though he manages to get a hand on his desk, his body lacks the strength to keep him up, and he continues toward the floor. I fall towards the floor. As I do, I remember her words. Tono-kun, help me when I'm in a pinch, okay? I told you that's impossible. Whatever you think of me, I'm not Superman. I would like to note that the scene where Shiki talks with Yumizuka didn't actually happen in this playthrough, but the last one. I initially reloaded a save to see if it was the same, but then I re-reloaded it to select the option to meet Ciel after school yesterday. If you are confused, I am too, don't worry. As the player, we do have knowledge of the scene occurring at least. Back to the story, our next scene is well after school. Shiki is thanking Arihiko for sticking with him for so long. Sorry for dragging you along with me, Arihiko. Yeah, I'm used to you collapsing without warning like that. Honestly, sleeping in the infirmary up until the very last minute? Just who do you think you are? You should have woken me up. There's nothing conscientious about letting me sleep until they lock us out in the building. Shut up. You think I'm going to wake up a sick person? You just collapse again. Come on, we gotta get back. It's already 7, you know. Arihiko walks down the corridor. After that, I collapsed from anemia and was left to sleep in the infirmary. Time passed until school lockup time at 6:30, when I was awoken by Arihiko's punch. And so, we came to be walking along this deserted corridor. Hey, come on, Tono. What are you doing? Sorry, I'm coming. I shake my still woozy head and follow Arihiko. Alright, you can go home by yourself from here. See you at school tomorrow. Thanks. Sorry as always, Arihiko. Don't worry, pay me back in double in the future. Arihiko's answer isn't exactly in proper Japanese. Smiling wryly to myself, I decide to head back to my own house. I reach the intersection. It's still 7 in the evening, but there's no one around. I guess because of the killer, fewer people go out at night. The only figure I can see now is the back of a woman, far away. A blonde. The distant woman seems to be a foreigner. Even from far away, I can see her golden hair rippling as she walks. It draws my eyes after her. Even though I only see her from behind, I can tell she's beautiful. Thump. Suddenly, my heart pounds loudly. My throat becomes inexplicably dry and parched. I break out in a cold sweat. My head aches. My head aches. It's not like the anemia earlier. Rather than fading, my consciousness becomes sharper. Gah, I gasp. That back. Watching the woman's golden hair, my head hurts terribly. My thoughts feel like they're melting into a haze. I will follow behind her? And then, what am I going to do after that? The woman disappears into a group of apartments in the shopping district. I have to follow. I don't know why, but I think that. My legs move on towards the apartments, but before that... Only for an instant, out of the corner of my eye, I see the figure of Yumizuka Satsuki. Yumizuka-san? My head becomes clear. Yumizuka. It was only for an instant, but without a doubt that was Yumizuka. Was she going towards town? What's she doing out at a time like this? I was so mad I didn't care if she disappeared or if she ran away from home. It's too dangerous for a girl to walk around town at night alone. Shiki follows his missing classmate and tries to call her name. When she turns to face him briefly, Shiki can tell something is off with her. He feels weird as well, as if he was following her in a daze. Yumizuka, meanwhile, continues to walk away from him. He eventually loses sight of her and realizes it's gotten really late. It's midnight. Shiki decides to head home for the night, but as he passes the commercial district, he hears a noise coming from a back alley. Shiki is debating on checking out what it was, even if it was nothing. We then have a choice as to what to do. Since last route we took a look, and that in fact led us down the plot, I decided to see what would happen if we chose to ignore the noise and head home. I can't do something that dangerous. If I went into an alley like that, no one would come to help me. There's something wrong with me wanting to go in there just because I heard a noise. It is getting late and I should head back. I return to the mansion without meeting anyone. The lights around the mansion are all off. Somehow, I hadn't realized I would be coming back so late. Akiha will surely be angry with me, I think, as I put my hand on the heavy doors. There's no one in the lobby. It is late after all. Akiha, Hisui, and Kohaku-san are all most likely fast asleep in their rooms. I couldn't find you after all, Yumizuka-san. But I know she has to be somewhere. Then, for sure, she will come to school tomorrow. I return to my room silently so as not to wake Akiha and the others. It's getting late. To get ready for tomorrow, I have to hurry up and go to sleep. As he swiftly goes to sleep, the chapter comes to an end. Chapter 3 is now different, titled Dark Kiss Mark. With Yumizuka still a mystery, let us proceed towards the next day and see what happens. Shiki is awakened by Hisui, and he thanks her for doing so. He tells her he'll get changed and go to the sitting room, but before she leaves, she asks when exactly he came home last night. Remembering his late-night search that ended fruitlessly, he apologizes to Hisui before asking if she could overlook it just this once. She says not to worry about it, but to at least let someone know if he stays out late. Shiki apologizes to the rather angry-sounding Hisui before she leaves. Once changed, he heads to the sitting room, where Akiha is waiting. He apologizes for last night, but Akiha wants to know more about what he was up to. He explains that he was looking for a friend, but that it wasn't anything big. Akiha, the voice of reason, points out that walking at night as a minor with the various killings occurring is quite dangerous. Though he uses being a boy as an excuse, she then brings up the anemia that could make his late-night excursions even more dangerous, and Shiki is unable to respond. He recognizes that she only brings this up because she cares for him. That is, until she brings up the bad PR they would get if the family's eldest son was found passed out in the middle of town. Then, he feels less bad. After telling him to follow curfew tonight, she leaves. He then eats breakfast, tells Hisui that he'll be back early since it's a Saturday, and finally makes his way to school. As I arrive at my classroom, I look for Yumizuka-san. She isn't in the group of girls. She hasn't come yet. Or maybe... Yo! Are you looking for something, Tono-kun? The familiar face of my friend appears from the side of like a crab. Yeah, I'm in the middle of looking, so don't get in my way, Arihiko. Oh, really? If you're looking for Sachin, it's useless. It seems she'll be skipping school today, too. Arihiko giggles meaningfully. He seems to have seen right through me. What's this Sachin thing? Sachin is Sachin. Miss Yumizuka was taken in by the police last night and is now under house arrest. What the fuck? Okay. Takada-kun told me while he was eating chocolate. Yumizuka-san returned home? Something seems a little out of place. Hey, if you don't believe me, ask Takada-kun. He seems to be one of Yumizuka's neighbors. I look around at my classmate nearby. As usual, Takada-kun is eating chocolate. He looks like he's doing his best impression of Santa Claus as he munches while walking. Quite the interesting person for a side character. No, I'll pass. Takada-kun isn't one to spread rumors, so it's most likely true. Yeah, a lot of girls have gone by to visit her, and Kunifuji went this morning to her house. Well, it seems like Yumizuka will have a rough time for a while. Huh. Arihiko returns to his chair with a difficult expression. The homeroom bell rings. Still feeling a bit vague about it all, I wait for Kunifuji-sensei's arrival. Huh. The homeroom teacher, Kunifuji, never showed up. The rest of Shiki's classes went by quickly until noon arrived. Students either head for home or prepare for club activities. Shiki himself prepares to leave when a school announcement is made, calling for him to come to the staff room immediately. He doesn't know why he's been called, but he heads over. Come to think of it, maybe it's natural. The school was bound to find out if I was walking around late at night in my school uniform. My school is second-rate, but still oriented towards attending university, so there are a lot of troublesome rules. After being sternly warned by the student guidance counselor, I ended up writing an essay of apology. Damn. It's getting late, Kunifuji-sensei, I muttered to myself in the empty room. The teacher told me he would come back after an hour. It's 6:30 already. It seems Akiha will scold me once more. Fine. I'll be heading back now. I announced this to the teacher who isn't here in an attempt to convince myself and stand up. Is he dead? Of course, the classroom is empty. I walk over to my desk to take my bag in my hand and exit to the hallway. I don't know who's saying this. Good evening, Tono-kun. Suddenly, someone calls my name. Huh? I whirl around it instantly. In the dark, unlit classroom, Yumizuka Satsuki sits with her back to the blue moonlight. Yumizuka-san? Oh, fuck, I totally don't remember how to do her voice. Oh, shit. What a coincidence. You're still here, Tono-kun. Don't tell me you were in the guidance counselor's room. Yeah. Just a little unpleasantness there. I see. You know, I was called there about last night, too. I was in the very next room. She smiles as she says so. A gentle, carefree smile like before. So, why is it? For no reason, a chill runs up my spine. I see. It was you next door. The school rooms are narrow, so you can somehow understand what is going on next door. Your light body warmth or your breathing. It would have been nice for me to enjoy it longer. Our eyes meet. That's a fucking weird statement to make, Yumizuka. Swaying, stretching, this instability as if the floor was bending. But it's great timing. I have a request for you, Tono-kun. Is it all right? Sure, I'll do it if I can. Really? Then I'll ask. Tono-kun, can you go out with me? Huh? Well, if that's it, sure. Sure, do you have something you need to buy? My man is fucking clueless. I don't think there's too many good stores open right now, though. Oh my god, he's really that stupid. She looks at me blankly. Huh? It seems like I was a little off. Oh, that's not it, Tono-kun. I'm not asking you to take me out shopping. I'm asking you to go out with me like a lover. Yumizuka-san giggles happily. After such a confession, my brain doesn't seem to work properly. Wait a second. Yumizuka-san, I'm happy, but to be told this all of a sudden, well, no problem, right? Yeah, there's no problem, I think. Really? Yay! Then I'll call you Shiki-kun from now on. I'm so glad. I was worried that you might hate me for saying that. Yeah, maybe I didn't need to use the teacher to make sure you stayed late, she mumbles. I don't quite grasp what she said. Oh, did she fucking, like, turn him into, like a servant vampire or something? Uh-oh. I can't believe we're now out of a teacher. Hey, Shiki-kun, I really used a lot of courage to tell you. Did you know how scared I was, Shiki-kun? She looks at me directly. Her eyes. Why do her eyes look red? And as if I was asphyxiated, my brain stops working. Yeah, you did well, Yumizuka-san. Yeah, so hey, maybe I should get a reward from you, Shiki-kun. I've been waiting so long. I want you to do it, Shiki-kun. Do what? Simple. I want you to kiss me, Shiki-kun. Oh, thank God, I thought we were going deeper. This isn't good. Somewhere in my mind, something screams at me in warning. So? I don't care about that. If Yumizuka-san wants it, what's wrong with it? We're lovers, so isn't it normal? Alright, don't move, Yumizuka-san. Uh-oh, she's doing spooky things. She's doing spooky things in the blue. I walk towards Yumizuka-san. The dry sounds of my feet steps. I walk in between the desks to draw closer to the girl by the window. As I do, I see the bodies of many female students collapsed in between the desks as if they were hidden. Do not see all the dead bodies in the corner. They do not exist. Blood flows from each of their necks. Oh, she went on a rampage. But still, I couldn't care less about them. Yumizuka-san doesn't move. Grabbing both of her arms, I press my lips to hers emotionlessly. With this, you are mine, Shiki-kun. Her whisper sounds incredibly evil. I collapse onto the floor, a splashing sound. I didn't notice it before, but the floor is splattered with blood. Under the desks lie the discarded corpses of my classmates strewn about. What? I try to stand up using my arms, but I fall back down again. There's no strength in my body. Heat. The heat suddenly turns cold. Relax, Shiki-kun. I won't make you like them. All you have to do is listen to my voice just like this. Her cold voice. I don't understand at all what she's doing. Even though I don't understand anything, I know this is so wrong it makes me nauseous. Grr! I strain my arms and legs as I crawl on the floor. But even that was stopped with her voice. No, you can't get away. I won't let you get away. Come on, first we have to expand my world. You'll help me, won't you? You broke your promise to help me whenever I was in a pinch, so you have to listen to whatever I say from now on. She chuckles. My distant heartbeat. The fragrance of the blood drenching the floor makes me dizzy. So, if I ever do wake up again, then I realize my body will never feel warm again. In the moonlit classroom, Yumizuka Satsuki slowly bites into Tonoshiki's neck. Did I fucking get a bad end? Am I that bad? I did! I died! Yep, it's been a bit since our last bad end. Stopping by Ciel Sensei's lesson, she explains that you should go back to the last chapter and go to the back alley. If someone's in trouble, you should go and help. Also, a few Neko arcs get confused about why Hisui's route happens before Akiha's, as well as regular Arcwood barely appearing at all. What the heck is this, Kinoko? I just don't get it. Don't get it, don't get it. They fucking multiplied? Oh, shit. Now back in Chapter 2, it's time to go into the back alley and see what is going on. When he arrives, Yumizuka is as she was during Hisui's route. Not doing the best. She's become a vampire, the how or why not yet known. Shiki's frozen in disbelief at the situation, but Yumizuka does not kill him. She tells him that she'll see him again once she becomes a great vampire, as she dashes away. Shiki is stunned, but his body is extremely aroused with the blood and violence, to the point where his vision starts to distort. He eventually makes it home, a surprise to himself given that he feels like collapsing from dizziness. I'm gonna vomit. Ugh. My heart is exploding. I can hardly breathe. I have to hurry and rest. Since I've collapsed so many times before my anemia, I know I'm about to faint. If I just rest my body in bed, this nausea and my exploding heart will all go back to normal. I can forget about all that as if nothing happened and wake up to a normal day. Oh, Kohaku's here. Shiki-san? You have returned. Kohaku-san. Kohaku-san emerges from the west hallway. That's right. Kohaku-san's room is in the west hallway on the first floor. Kohaku asks if he was able to see his friend. The question brings Shiki back to the bloody scene in the alley, and that makes him feel sick. He tells Kohaku that he's going to his room, and he proceeds to collapse on his bed. Despite this dizziness, he can't quite sleep, as his body is too excited. Hisui then knocks on his door. She has brought some sleeping medicine from her sister, and Shiki thanks her as he takes it. Oh shit, I didn't realize this. I'm pretty sure this face is actually Kohaku's. I think I realized it during, like, right before the blowjob scene. I hate that was a thing that came out of my mouth. So when we're in the Hisui route, and right before she's, when we're like stuck in bed, and she's like, Kohaku gave me this medicine, and it'll help you, and then it makes him like super erect, and then Kohaku, who's disguised as Hisui, goes down. I'm like 200% sure she made this exact same face. With like the eyes, with the discolored, like the cold blue eyes. That must mean this is Kohaku as well. I did not realize that at first, and that would make way more sense. How did you know, Hisui? Shiki-sama, you seem to have trouble sleeping, so I brought this medicine. That's right, but how did you know this, Hisui? I heard it from my sister. She told me that you were very tired, so I should give extra care. I see it was Kohaku-san. She must have seen how bad my face looked when we met in the lobby. And this medicine it's a sleeping-inducing medicine. Your personal physician gave his approval that it could be used for you. Approval at this hour? No, my sister asked your personal physician as soon as she found out you were coming here to live in this mansion. So I don't know how true this actually is. If she actually did that, that's cool, and that means she prepared it. If she didn't, that just means she prepared it on her own and was like, yeah, I'm just that good. Which is both possible, considering the other medicine she prepares. I'm glad I caught that. Kohaku-san is pretty amazing. She's pretty thoughtful. Anyways, I'm very thankful right now. Taking the water from Hisui, I drink the medicine. I start to feel very sleepy after a while. Thanks, Hisui. Please give Kohaku-san my thanks as well. As you wish. Well then, please rest well, Shiki-sama. I'm assuming that's her. I'm making a big assumption here, but it would make sense. I can hear Hisui's footsteps. I'm not clicking on the screen. It feels like all the power is draining from my body. Feels good. I space out. As if I was passing out, I quickly fall asleep. Shiki then dreams of the back alley, with a voice showing disgust for Yumizuka and a desire to be the one directly involved. The chapter then ends, leading into chapter 3, Inversion Impulse 3. As he awakens, Shiki can hear a frantic Hisui getting him something to drink. He opens his eyes to a vacant room, with his breathing extremely ragged and noisy. He's drenched in sweat and exhausted, while his head is in pain. The scene from his nightmare is still perfectly clear in his head. There's something wrong. I managed to say this much, still breathing hard. Last night's dream still lingers in my head. It really was a horrific nightmare. I was just blanked out in my dream, as if I couldn't rouse myself from the nightmare if I tried. Shiki-sama! And then, Hisui rushes into my room. Hisui? Did something happen? You didn't even knock. Are you awake, Shiki-sama? Yeah, I just got up. Good morning, Hisui. Thanks for coming to wake me. Yes. Good morning. Returning my greeting apologetically, Hisui approaches the bed. I have brought you something to drink. You do not appear well, so please drink it. Looking at it, it seems like she brought me a drink on a silver tray like she did yesterday. Huh? I don't really feel bad or anything. I slept soundly and I feel refreshed. But... Hisui stares at me. You seemed to be in a very poor state earlier. Hisui then asks if his chest scar hurts, to which Shiki answers no, and that a nightmare was the source of his discomfort. He asks if it was her who woke him up, and she affirms it while apologizing. Shiki thanks her, as she got him out of that awful nightmare. After thanking her for the drink, he lets her know that he'll get changed and be in the sitting room soon. When she leaves, he thinks about how nice it was for her to help him, as well as how she must have looked so stressed out about him. He then tries to get up, and his enthusiasm for doing so is rewarded with a sudden pain in his chest. It recedes just as quickly as it came, but he starts thinking about his chest scar. He puts together that remembering last night might be the reason for that pain. He then feels the shock again, as if to answer his inquiry. He doesn't know what to do about it, as the image of Yumizuka coated in blood sticks into his head. He manages to eventually get himself changed and down the stairs to see Hisui and Akiha in the sitting room. The conversation is the same as it was in the bad end, though with Shiki's internal realization that Yumizuka might be the killer like in Hisui's route. In the end, he's unable to explain the situation to Akiha. So, you can't talk about the situation, Nissan. Yeah, it has nothing to do with you, Akiha. Right now, I can only think of Yumizuka. I want to be alone, and so I said that. You're going to keep going your own way, is that what you're saying, Nissan? I understand. Well, please feel free. If that's what you want, Nissan, I'll do the same. Akiha stands up and walks out to the lobby. Shiki-sama? Is this acceptable? Acceptable? Is what acceptable? I believe Akiha-sama is deeply concerned about you, Shiki-sama, but I think it is difficult for her since she not often talk about her feelings. I know, but right now my head's full and I can't. I do feel sorry. Hisui falls silent. Shiki-san, breakfast! I love this. This is my favorite line. This is my favorite line to read. It's so easy and simple, and it's very fun. Kohaku-san's voice can be heard from the dining room. I stand up and heads towards it. After breakfast and saying goodbye to Hisui at the gate, Shiki goes to school. It passes quickly though, since all he can think about is Yumizuka. After school, he looks for her until the sun sets, but he can't find her. Resigned, he goes back to the mansion. When he arrives, Hisui welcomes him back from the lobby, and lets him know that Akiha will be late coming home, so he will be eating before her. Shiki thanks her and heads to his room, and we time skip to 9 p.m., where he debates breaking curfew to look for Yumizuka again. His thinking takes so long that 3 hours pass. He's still unsure of what to do, but he's visited by Hisui, who informs him of a phone call that told him to meet at the park. Though he tries to tell Hisui that he won't break curfew, she can tell that he's straining himself by saying that. Though he tries to reassure her so that she leaves, he does end up going to the park. This late-night rendezvous is with the vampiric Yumizuka, which plays out the same as Hisui's route. When she asks Shiki if he likes her, we once again have a choice. Last time I answered I liked her, so I wanted to see if something changed if I selected a different option. Okay, so I answered I like her last time. But you know, she's kind of a murdering asshole, so I'm gonna say I hate her. I'm sorry, but I can't have any special feelings for you. I answer clearly while looking her straight in the eye. I feel like this is probably a dead end. I see. Both Yumizuka's voice and body tremble. I can't think of anything else to say. Maybe this makes me a horrible person, but those are my true feelings. I never had any special feelings for my classmate Yumizuka Satsuki. I'm only here because what happened on the way home 2 days ago left such an impression on me. I couldn't just forget about it.
Oh, I don't like that face.
Yeah, I knew that. I guess that's why things turned out this way. It's okay. Since you say that, I'll be honest with myself too, Shiki-kun. Uh-oh. Ugh. Ugh. Yumizuka's body trembles. Breathing painfully, she falls to her knees. A choking sound. Squatting on the ground, Yumizuka coughs heavily, and she spits out a lump of blood. After this, the scene plays out the same. Yumizuka attempts to turn Shiki into a vampire loyal to her, but he manages to kill her blood in him before it takes over. He then kills Yumizuka without thinking, with the voice in his head briefly taking him over as he did so. Shiki, as a result, is extremely panicked at what happened, but he manages to make it back to the mansion. The door opens with a creak. With a heavy body and dulled mind, I make it back to the mansion. My footsteps drag behind me. The moonlight illuminates my figure, making it look like an exhausted ghost. My left arm hurts where Yumizuka wounded me. The bleeding has stopped, and the gradual lessening of the pain tells me it couldn't have been too deep. I reach for the stairs. I don't even care about treating my wounds. Right now, I just want to stumble back to my room and sleep like a rock. Eh? Nissan? And then, from the middle of the stairs, I hear Akiha's voice. Akiha? I raise my head. In front of me, I see Akiha, who has just now made it to the bottom of the stairway. Ah! Akiha is silent. Something about her appearance is a little strange, but I don't even care right now and continue stumbling up the steps. Right now, I should just get to my room, so I have to keep going up the stairs. I dazedly make my way past Akiha's still figure. I have to get up the stairs. Hey, please wait, Nissan. Just where do you think you're going this late in the evening? Who knows? Besides, what is Akiha doing standing here at this hour anyway? Trying to glide down the stairs as quietly as possible. It seems like she was going to go outside just now. Doesn't have anything to do with you, Akiha. I'm going to my room, so don't bother me. Bother, Akiha gasps and cuts off mid-sentence. Nissan, you look... Her previously shocked eyes become calm. Your left arm is injured, right? Your clothes are pretty dirty, too. Don't worry about it. It doesn't even hurt anymore. It doesn't hurt? That can't be true. You look like you could collapse at any moment, and there's blood clotted all over your left arm. Goodness, what in the world were you doing, Nissan? I can't answer and only avert my gaze. I couldn't possibly explain everything that happened tonight, and more than that, I don't ever want to talk about Yumizuka to anyone. Nothing much. I was just walking around and got sucked into a little drunken brawling. Answering simply, I climb past her. But with a pull, Akiha places her hand on my shoulders. Nissan, I'll get mad. With a weak voice, Akiha looks directly at me. With her face like that, I become even more unable to tell her what really happened. Just like that, time passes without either of us speaking. After some minutes pass, Akiha lets out a breath and drops her shoulders in resignation. Fine. I will let it go. Akiha grabs my uninjured right arm and heads towards the sitting room. Hey, Akiha, I want to go back to my room and sleep. No, I won't ask you any more about it, so you have to let me treat your injuries, okay? So come this way. I can't help but be worried if you go sleeping looking like that. Still holding on to my arm, she drags me with her to the lobby. Oh well, this is just how it is. I resign myself to doing as Akiha says. The treatment was quite simple. I guess it was really not that bad to begin with. After applying some disinfectant and wrapping the wound in a gauze, my treatment is over. After finishing that simple care by herself, Akiha takes a towel soaked in warm water and wipes my face. All finished. This uniform is done for, so we'll have to get a new one prepared tomorrow. My mind is still numb. Akiha really hasn't asked me any questions about what happened and simply took care of my injury. I'm a little surprised. I thought she would let Kohaku-san or Hisui take care of it, but Akiha did it all with a smile. Her gentleness is completely different from the way she was these past 3 days, and I think back about Akiha from long ago. Nissan? Hey, it's all finished, so please go back to your room. Didn't you say you would rather go to sleep than keep me company? She may still be resenting my words from earlier because she sounds very dissatisfied. There's still something wrong with my brain, but I do understand how much Akiha worried over me. Yeah, thanks Akiha. Is it because I'm still woozy? I let my true feelings show. I don't think we've seen this face before. It's very cute. Akiha's face turns red and she shrinks away from me. Oh, I don't think it was anything to thank me for. You would help me if I was hurt, right, Nissan? That may be true, but it makes me happy. Stuttering, I finally realize it. I am quite emotionally detached right now, but I honestly am happy that, rather than Kohaku-san or Hisui, Akiha was the one who treated my wounds. Don't say such stupid things. Please, hurry back to your room. Or are you hurt somewhere else? Akiha says so and shifts her gaze. Huh? Nissan, your shoulder. There's blood. Akiha places her hand on my shoulder. She peels back my shirt, my exposed shoulder and neck. Umizuka's bite marks and dried blood are still there. How the fuck do you explain this? Yeah, just some chick just went up and bit my neck with her freaking teeth marks. Just those 2 shark teeth just went, ah. Nissan, this... In that instant, the air freezes. The fang-shaped wounds on my neck. I don't know how to even begin to explain that and descend into silence. Akiha slowly leans her body towards mine. Nissan, there's still blood flowing here. Her voice is terribly taut with strain. The grip of her hand on my shoulder becomes stronger. Her body stops in a position somewhere between touching mine and not. Oh, what should I do? We should stop the bleeding, right? Her voice sounds delirious. Akiha? I call her name while assailed by an unspeakable disquiet. There's no reply, but instead, I feel a warm sensation along my neck. Huh? What? My voice fades away. Akiha's face is right next to mine. The sensation of rubbing, a contact, wetness. Huh? My numb sense of reason can't grasp what's going on. A hesitantly touching tongue. Ew. A red tongue that fearfully touches my neck. Shaking. The shaking fingers that embrace me. The warmth of Akiha's body. Akiha is licking the blood dribbling down my neck. But it really isn't anything to be alarmed over. It's just like what you would do as a kid to stop the bleeding. But it feels so sweet, I can't say anything. Akiha must think the same way, as she just, for no reason, brushes her teeth against my wound. All of a sudden, a sound comes from the lobby. Akiha pulls back. I'm so sorry, Nissan. Her face a pure red, Akiha runs away. What? Left by myself in the sitting room, I reach my hand up to my neck. Her warmth is still lingering there faintly. She didn't have to run away, I murmur to myself and shake my head. Licking the wound like that. I did a lot of that as a child. I did that to Akiha and Nikaku-san when they got hurt. But that's just an act from childlike purity, only done as a child. Both of us grown up like this now and being the opposite gender. We really can't use that method anymore. Like, at least, like, I don't know, like, lick your finger, or, like, lick, like, a towel or something. Don't just go full tongue, what the f- What was she doing? She was acting pretty strange. Well, I guess I'm also strange right now. As if in a dream, I can't recall what exactly happened. Even what Akiha and I just did, I feel like it'll all be a dream tomorrow morning. And I reach my room. I lurch to my bed and collapse. Tiredness closes in around my brain. The exhaustion is more in my body than my mind. My body must be trying to halt everything in order to quickly heal its exertions. Before that, I take a deep breath and trace my fingers along my neck once more. I'm a little surprised. The 2 fang marks, the blood really stopped by Akiha's lips. With Shiki confused but grateful to Akiha for helping him out, Shiki goes to sleep. The chapter comes to a close after that. The death of Yumizuka at Shiki's hands and his immediate panic after has been replaced in his head, if briefly, by his encounter with Akiha. This brings this part to an end, as we've gotten through the 3 Inversion Impulse chapters. Next time on Tsukihime, we move on to Chapter 4, Cradle Garden. I will see you then.